I had a fight for today's podcast. Corrie was going to reschedule it.
I was going to reschedule it. I have a lot going on. First day of school for my son. He barely got in. Had a bag, baked some cookies, and dropped them off yesterday.
As one does, she said. But it is Tuesday. It is the Sugar Cookie Marketing Group podcast. We're an extension of a group on Facebook. If you've yet to join, please swing by
Been
there.
letting people in right and left.
Corey's been letting
right.
people in left and right.
If you answer the questions. If you just leave those unanswered, I don't know what I'm getting into. I don't know what you're getting into.
Here, and I've got to defend the people that don't answer the questions a bit. Other than you scammers and spammers, you're on your own island of I don't like you. But when you go to request a group, there's a delay.
Yeah.
When it brings up the questions.
Sometimes it makes me answer them twice.
Yes, so it's Glitch Haven Central.
Yeah.
And
So
if you don't get in,
unanswered in?
no, just reject them so they can re-ask. But if you say, "Oh, I've already requested to join, and they haven't let me in," maybe there's an issue with those questions, so just go and re-answer them.
Yeah, you can cancel your request and redo it. Mm-hmm. That would be like put you at the top.
If you don't get asked the questions, there are questions, so there's a glitch in the answer. Okay. So today's podcast topic, we signed up.
We survived.
I incorrectly used the word we. Corrie signed up for a wedding vendor expo, and she said, I'm doing it solely for the plot. I'm doing it solely so we can tell people on the podcast, break down this whole thing, lessons learned, things to do, things we shouldn't have done, things to know, cost involved and everything. So
me and Heather, in our former jobs and former lives, have gone to many an expo.
No,
I
have worked at the
set up the expo. So Heather had some PTSD from it. So
I had the worst attitude. I will never know. I was proud of the worst attitude.
She had the worst attitude. And I will say, when I signed up for it 1 month ago, I didn't know how much was going to go into it. Turns out it was a lot.
Yes, I would say if my big takeaway, like my banner for this podcast is if you start these, you must continue them. That's the only way to
get your money back on it. And we'll get into it, but just the setup for our little booth is expensive.
Because we didn't have any of this stuff before. So you got to think the first one is the biggest. That's always like when you go snowboarding, the first, buying my own stuff is the most expensive. Then you have to keep snowboarding to make the cost per use come down.
Otherwise, if you're sitting,
these aren't a one and done
things. It's not.
Or they could be in one and done. You have low investment, which from a branding perspective means, just a folding table or a folding table with a custom tablecloth. So we'll get into that. So
let me just give some backstory. Okay. This event has actually been on the books for the last 6 months. They needed a baker kind of last minute.
Kind of tell us, actually, just break down what this event was. It was very complex. In concept and execution, you're going to see that they don't align, but the concept was really nice.
I'm going to say, out to the day of the event, I didn't actually know what was happening, which will come into play too. It's a 2-day event. The first day is there's no attendees. It was just the vendors. The vendors donated everything to set up 2 faux weddings.
2 faux wedding receptions, technically, right? Not the wedding ceremonies. Yes. These are 2 fake wedding receptions at this custom-built, beautiful, stunning barn in Leesburg.
Gorgeous.
The venue is, I'm going to put the word breathtaking here.
Yeah, it's
for
really
our
nice.
area, it is top of the line.
And it's made for weddings. Pretty much.
This barn there's not a cow ever sitting in this barn. It's got stunning floor to ceiling windows.
Wood. It's just absolutely
exterior
gorgeous.
lighting. They have custom ponds.
Yeah.
Just to kind of paint the picture of how luxe this was.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. So these 2 faux weddings receptions are 2 different themes. So they needed a baker for one theme, a different baker for the other theme. It was all split.
So keep in mind, there's an event planner for upstairs, there's an event planner for downstairs. There's a florist for upstairs, a florist for downstairs. Yeah. So both of these receptions are completely built out as if somebody was getting married.
Yeah.
But they're completely 2 different themes, and they have 2 sets of vendors for each theme.
Yeah, I want to say each set had 20 vendors tied to it.
Yeah, because let's kind of break it down. We have plating.
You had the plate guy. You had custom cookies, which was me.
Frankly, you had the table and the setup people, people that do the supplies.
Yeah, the wedding planner. She was the one who set up the table.
They had fake couples, and they were dressed to the nines. And makeup artists and hair, and then outfits.
Yeah, and the clothes were from someone.
I'm sure they had lighting.
They had florist, Anna, shout out to you. I know you're listening. She's my bestie. They had this, they had the wall, in the upstairs one, they had the
photography walls,
yeah, what would you call that? They named it some cute name and I cannot remember what it's called.
Not sure, but I like the vibe.
But then they had an archway upstairs with hanging florals, which is
they had balloon
pretty.
artists.
They had a balloon artist there. I mean, the list goes on.
Event planners, photographers.
Oh, they did have 3 photographers there.
Mm-hmm. So you can see the food trucks, catering.
Oh, they had this fun. It was so funny. It was an orange VW bus from the 60s that was for photos. So he was one of the vendors too.
So the upstairs was luxe dark woodland themed and the downstairs was retro groovy themed, which is where the VW truck comes from. The concept is delicious because this venue is stunning. Attending 2 weddings, 2 wedding receptions, cool.
They were so polar opposite.
Yeah, kind of really got a taste test of these vendors. Now tacked onto this this is where I think the idea should have stopped. At these 2 receptions.
Yeah.
Instead, they've also added a vendor expo.
The next following day.
The following next day. So the venue's still set up for these 2 different weddings. But the next day is tacked on this vendor expo, a runway show, and then an after party.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was a lot that was spread really thin. And I think that's where it fell apart. However, if it was just those 2 receptions one day, I think it would have been great.
Yeah. I say... And if you're wondering, why would all these vendors give all this time and money away?
There's a caterer and the drink.
There was
bartenders.
They couldn't actually serve alcohol. For some reason, the barn didn't have the license for it. Whatever.
The venue was kind of.
That's what I heard the gentleman talking. The people who did this 2 faux weddings, though, got photos to use from the photographers. You just have to tag them.
Stationary people.
Oh, stationary. There was a table set up. She had the number 1 on there. She was a table lady.
It was a lot. It was a lot. Okay, so the first day I don't go. Corrie goes to drop off her cookies, and Corrie already says it's a little confusing at best. There's a paid component of this, there's a paid component as far as the vendors. If you wanted to actually sell something, which is a little confusing to me, you could pay like $400 and you'd be allowed to sell. Otherwise, you're just vending. You're just showing off your services, and that was if product was donated, which I think most of the products were to create these receptions. You could vend for free.
The vending for free part, that's where you had to give away the free product. But for people who weren't offering free stuff, like I was told to make 100 cookies. Other people, the event planner wasn't making 100 cookies.
So the event, but there was a component of it that was a paid ticket for attendees, and that was confusing because I'm still not sure what was $30, $40 at the door, and what half of this was free. Yeah. And that's going to come into play when we call this a flop with a capital F, L-O-P.
So let's go into how we prepped.
Okay, marketing prep. So Corrie, we didn't go as Sugar Cookie Marketing, we went as Corrie's Mixing Bowl Cookie Company. And that put a lot of the onus of promotion on her because I don't really run her socials. So you have one marketing prep. You said you got your socials ready, reposted and pinned new timestamps.
So remember when Heather tore apart my social media and she said my pin post was from January of this year.
I break you down to build you back up.
She said make it a little bit more current. So now I reposted. It says August, which this event happened in August. So it went really well together. The next up is... If you have to think, if people are looking you up on social media, they don't want to scroll. They're not going to scroll back to see the last wedding set I did, which was a while ago, that I posted.
So for the last week, Corrie's been posting wedding-specific content, which is so funny because our family kept asking me why you were doing that. And I was like, well, we're doing this wedding thing on Saturday. She's posting wedding-related content so that it funnels any of these new people to right where they'd want to be. Because they're all there for potential weddings and they all want to be sold.
Think if they scroll down 2 inches, that's as much time as they'll give me. If I can catch them with 1 or 2 sets.
We don't want them to leave this wedding venue and see Corrie does a lot of birthday stuff. That's not aligned with what we were trying to sell on Saturday. She did that on both Facebook and Instagram, assuming that people would be taking a one or the other and scroll through there. So very great idea. I'll tell you the things that I wish we'd done differently later, but that was great. So she's kind of building up that social media. She's increasing the rate of posting, which you know that we really like. And then she's keeping that content on brand. Now you say, well, what does her other audience think? At the end of the day, she's posting content all the time. That varies from her different content buckets. Yes, some people that already like her page aren't interested in her wedding content, but that's not what we're focused on as we careen toward this event on Saturday. Then she has all comments and reviews responded to at least for the last 2 weeks. It's hard to say, like, go back for the last 9 months and we ever didn't apply. Just for the last 2 weeks, show that you're there, show that you're responding
you
to
just
things.
don't want the page to look dead. Mm-hmm. You don't want it to have something like your cover photo from St. Patrick's Day. Mm-hmm. You want everything to be current. So if someone's like, if I order from these people, they're there.
Is my money buying a product that I received?
Right.
Granted, we are physically at this venue, but again, we're that funnel. We got to think in terms of a funnel, that they're not coming to the venue and buying their wedding cookies there. They're coming to the venue, meeting you, doing that research. So that research component is why she's freshening up the content with wedding related stuff. Yeah. Then we made sure that the forms and the website were updated. Again, if you have like a banner image, I know a lot of us kind of are like, oh, just set it. It says spring. I don't want to have Easter stuff when somebody's coming from a wedding in late summer and saying, again, it gives that whole, am I going to get my product?
Right. Like these people are really good at back to school cookies, but what about my wedding?
We always want to keep that content fresh because it's a part of that funnel. Nothing screams, ugh, than seeing last year's cookie model on this year's website. Then, 2, supplies. Now, Corrie and I haven't done a wedding vendor expo. And in fact, under the Mixing Bowl Cookie Company, we've never done an expo. So we had none of the materials. Now, this is where that discombobulated warning flag started showing up, is that we have a booth 6x6. We were never told it was outside, which it turns out it was outside.
We were never told it was not next to a power source.
And we were never told that it was actually a strict 6x6. 6x6 in reality of these. Now that I've gone to all these websites to get this custom printed physical materials, I didn't realize that 6x6 is a very limiting size. A lot of booths are larger than that. A lot of booth displays and stuff. So what we decided to do is, Corrie and I sat down and said, are we good marketers if we don't push ourselves? Are we good marketers if we're not sweating through this? If this isn't stressful, did we do a good job? So Corrie was like, well, I guess I'll just have cookies on a tray. And I'm like, that's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Let's try. I've always wondered if it could be done. Let's get Eddie and directly print people's photos on Eddie. Like
right in front
picture of the people
that
stand in front of us. And so, took a little bit of technology, and I'll talk about the dry run in a second. But just so you know, Eddie's a huge component of what this did. So we needed a step and repeat. If you don't know what that is, it's just those if
you're on the red carpet and they're taking
logos in the background.
And they're taking photos and they're stopping, taking photos, stopping.
That's called a step and repeat. Yeah. And we were like, okay, a booth is too big for 6 feet in diameter, but the step and repeat's max width was either 5 feet or 10 feet. Obviously not 10 feet. That's a typical step and repeat.
Which would make sense.
For a step and repeat. But for this quick backdrop, again, we didn't want to spend so much money. And then there's also the storage component of this stuff.
Also, you're like, well, did you really need the step and repeat? We didn't know what the backdrop was going to be. So is it going to be a dingy, dark wall?
Not a clue.
Some plumbing coming out?
And now is a question, like, should I bring lighting? Or now we've got a lot of power sources needed. A little bit of this is like, let's just see if we can do this. Whatever, maybe.
Right.
So we ordered a custom tablecloth.
Which was very nice. Heather did same image on both sides. So there was no front or back. Yeah.
I thought that was neat because when I did vendor events in the past, the setup having to be like, well, A goes to C and then you tighten it with the B. So just having a tablecloth that covered the legs of the table allowed for quick storage. And that was always big when I did these other vendor events, is you have to have a place to put your crap.
Because you also think there's cords with Eddie that are unsightly.
Unsightly.
And we wanted to hide
and all the storage, all the carrying cases, all the computers and the camera equipment has to be hidden somewhere. So I got a tablecloth that was 6 by, I think 2.5 is a standard table size. This was a standard tablecloth, but it came all the way down to the floor and it was loose. So we could pack under.
But not so loose that if there was a breeze, you were going to see all the packaging, which I thought was very nice.
So it was sewn down to the floor. Yeah. So there was no blowing in the wind, which was great because it turns out that unbeknownst to us, we are outside. There was wind.
It felt like it had some weight to it.
It was a nice tablecloth. Yeah. Actually, if you guys wonder where I got it from, where did I get it? Table Covers Now. Obviously, you can see SEO works. And let me just see how much I paid for it. Again, a little bit of this was under a rush order. All right, Table Covers Now. Let's see how much I paid. And I'm sure you could price shop. And I had to get a carrying case I added to that. And then again, if it was showing up late, I had to do a little rush fee. Or whatever you want to call them, a fast track fee. And that was $216.60, including shipping and the carrying bag for $15.
Did you rush fee that or no?
Oh, I don't think I had to do that one. That one actually shipped so incredibly fast. I was impressed.
With the name of something now, I would assume so.
It should have been tablecloths yesterday because it was so fast. So table covers now is where I ordered that from. Again, $216. Every cost per use would be great. You can't just use it once.
Right.
It was a really solid cloth. I was really happy that I did the graphic design myself, but it sounded like they would do that for you if you needed help.
For free?
Don't know. Didn't use it.
Yeah, okay.
Then we said, okay, let's get the step and repeat. I thought in hindsight, the step and repeat did not work well for the outside.
It kept blowing over.
It kept blowing over. We needed sandbags. Did not know that. It was never communicated to us. By the time I knew it was outside, it was already too late. We knew it was outside the day before. So the step and repeat, you'll never guess. I actually found one of the better prices through Vistaprint. This includes the custom printed backdrop cloth.
Yeah.
And the stands.
Oh, nice.
Right. The stands I thought were going to be chintzy. They were lightweight.
They were.
They needed a sandbag. If it was outside, inside it would have been completely fine. Yeah. And the assembly and disassembly was rather impressive. Everything collapsed within itself. And that's always a huge component of these setups is how easy is it to carry?
The thing is, because you don't know if you're walking 2 feet, you don't walking a mile.
When I used to have to do this in DC, parked 5 blocks away, walking to the DC Convention Center, have to manage the convention center.
That's insane.
And carrying all this stuff is ridiculous.
So this collapsed nicely into a carry bag.
That one really tiny person could carry and not be weighted down.
And it really kept it organized within that bag.
It did. So that was, I think I had to do expedited shipping for this one. So I did pay a fee for that. So $338 out the door. Wow. That includes the case, the stands, and the custom printed backdrop. That was the latest item I ordered, but it also was the latest item to show up. So I had to do a little fast track. Because again, there's a graphic design component of this. And then the third thing we thought of, I added this in this a circular, what would you call it? They call them something like A-frame signs. Yeah. But this was an A-frame sign that was collapsible. So again, I really hate storing things. Absolutely. I hate it. A-frame sign's really durable. This was a collapsible circle sign that, I don't know, they have them they make them for beach people that go to the beaches, tents. This is a smaller version of it. It was an A-frame fabric sign that collapsed into a little small carrying case.
Great for carrying.
And it said come get a free cookie because we were giving away free cookies. It was $128. I had a discount code. It was Stan22. It saved me $30.
Maybe in the Wednesday, you could put a photo of me and you standing in front of the bed.
I want everyone. I'll put that in the newsletter so you guys can kind of understand. The sounds kind of weird. But in hindsight, I'm glad we had that because it fortified our little setup.
It felt more professional.
It definitely was the call to action. So it said, the sign itself said, come and get a free cookie.
We ended up having to add weights to it because it was lightweight. We were outside, it kept blowing away.
The outside component was wild. But if you do farmers markets, you already know you're going to be outside.
And if it's a breezy day, you do have to plan for that.
I don't know if we just weren't real high up on the totem pole of favorites, but a few of us got set outside. And that really added a wild card here. Because again, like I said, we have Eddie. I pre-purchased each of those companies included the additional option of carrying cases. I did purchase that. Hindsight, so glad I did.
Absolutely.
I couldn't imagine what that would look like.
You would, have a ton of grocery bags with you?
And that would have been miserable. These were custom made for these displays, and it made it really easy to store and stack.
How fast do you think we put the display up?
We did a dry run, which was very important.
It was.
I think I made Corey's husband come to this because I thought if we all suffered, we all needed to suffer. And he and I and Corey had it up pretty darn fast. I would say max 10 minutes.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. Then Corey, now let's go to the pre-baked items. So we had the caveat here is this is the first time this event was ever put on. You guys always see me say, how many things should I bring? Find a vendor from last year and see how much truly foot traffic they had. There was no option for that. This barn had just been built. This is one of the first events they were hosting. There was nobody I could call. And I have a bone to pick with the people who put it on. There was a ticketing system. So there was some semblance of who was going to come and who wasn't. That was never communicated. So And never did I know how many people were going. Turns out it wasn't a lot.
I will say, even someone asked what the attendance was going to be the night before, and they were left unread.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to baking items, talk to us about what happened there.
So I was like,
so keep in mind, Oh, tell us what you brought and then tell us why you brought that many.
Okay. So automatically I had to bring a dozen fancy piped cookies that matched the retro theme that no one was going to eat. They were going to be left on these plates outside.
And this was from the day before and the day of. So remember, 2-day events for this set of cookies that were the retro. Very cute. Maybe you can give me a picture of those. So I can
match the theme. Adorable. But I told her, I said, there's no way I can make 100 fancy cookies to match the theme to give away for free. And she's like, no, that's okay. As long as you can just give something away for free, that's fine. I'll let you choose what you want to do.
So remember, we bring in this Eddie component. So all we need is blanks.
Yeah. So I made 25 blanks at the beginning.
And I said,
and then I made 50 QR code Eddie printed cookies as like my business card to give away.
Yeah. So Corrie said, and I thought it was a pretty good idea, we made the QR code printed cookies kind of match this retro theme. Again, heavy into the orange because that's Corrie's colors. She printed the night before. They were on a circle cookie 2x2.
Yeah.
And then she put them in a little cello bag with a cute little business card attached. Because remember, a QR code cookie is going to be eaten. She still had her marketing materials attached with a QR code on the back. And everyone's like, oh, great. So I can eat that. Obviously, it's a gimmick to show that we could do this. Now, why 25 blanks?
Because it was never communicated how many people were going to show. And I went through the marketing of the people who were sponsoring it, and there was not a lot of marketing. I felt like there was not going to be a ton of people there. Fair. But Heather said
I said rather more than run out.
Yeah.
And I know that that's always a question we get in the group is I don't want to be left with leftover product, but I also don't want to run out. What's the magic number?
Here's the great thing about the Eddie printed cookies. I can freeze what's not used.
Blanks, right.
And they were blank.
Now, Corrie had found the supplier. If you're in the Eddie printer users group, they're mom pop cookies, and they ship out a sleeve of blanks. So we brought those as backups, which is great for people like me who hate running out of supplies.
Just to have in the back of your mind.
In reality, we didn't need those.
We didn't, but it was nice to know if we got to the end of what I baked, we were going to have to turn people away.
So did we walk away with some cookies? We were right on the line, but we had plenty of the mom pop backups. Did we run out of your blanks?
We had 6 left.
Please understand that nobody attended this event, and I'll explain why we only had 6 left.
Heather ended up making me do another 25. So we had about 45 Eddie blanks.
Eddie blanks baked by Corrie, then the backup sleeve of Mom Pop. And for me, and I'm my father's child, I like having backups. Yeah. I don't like the thought of somebody coming to the booth and be like me having to explain like, hey, this is what you would have done. I hate that. So I'd rather have more left over. Again, Corrie can freeze them because of the nature of what it was. She had a ton of those QR cookies left. How many of those did you bring?
I brought 50 of those. Ended up giving like 5 of them to a lady who was hungry.
So we'll talk about how the event actually went, but that's how we pre-planned the amount of bakes to bring. Now, Corrie brought way too many business cards. You can't have enough. Just bring enough, right? You can always put those away. Those stories. Because of the nature of the business that we're in, the edible component of it, because it was Eddie, that's what saved us. Now, I couldn't imagine what this would have looked like if you had made 100 retro wedding cookies.
That would have been depressing.
And a lot of this we said, wow, it's almost not worth doing a first ever event because of the nature of cookies. The event planners, the balloon people, they had that stuff lasts forever. But that's when I'll get to my thoughts on that. So then Corrie had those QR cookies plus business cards plus an additional freestanding business card.
And me and Heather know the twin shtick. We dressed like twins. White shirts, same bell jeans, bottoms, same shoes.
It works. I'm sorry you can't replicate it, but it worked. Okay, so then, and this is really important to me as the planner myself, we did a dry run last Tuesday, actually, right after we finished the podcast. We unboxed, again, all the stuff had just arrived, all the tablecloth. I had my mom, we borrowed a table from her because I didn't want to store it again. I hate storing stuff. So we borrowed a 6x2.5 table. I had done a mock-up design on the computer of kind of how the layout was going to go to kind of give us an idea of how this was going to look like. And then we did a dry run. I got a measuring tape. We said 6x6. Here's as far as we can get out.
Yeah, we thought we were going to be squished, and we were like, we got to fight for every inch we can.
When I did the Washington Convention Center booth, you're held in by gates. Like you are herded like cattle.
And we didn't know. Could we have been held in by a gate? We could have. We
said we need a plan as if 6x6 is the max amount of space we have, which was exceptionally limiting considering that the table's already 2.5 feet in depth.
I know. Yeah. And we needed people to walk behind the table to get their photo taken.
In reality, we were running a risk as well in what it turned out is we could have used upwards of 25 feet. Right. Okay. As some vendors didn't show, but that's what the dry run is for. We marked and taped off the step and repeat. So the step and repeat could go upwards of 8 feet in the air. That's too high.
Yeah.
It would make sense if you were in an indoor venue. It was 8 by 5 feet. So 5 feet in diameter. Again, we have 6 feet width. 8 feet was too high. So I taped off where I wanted these poles to stop. Remember, we got 2 sides. So taping off on each side, making sure each side is level, allowed us to really streamline setup come Saturday.
Yeah, that made it so easy. It wasn't like, I think your side's too high. I think your side's too low.
I marked things left and right. Yeah. I have a commercial Dymo label printer. Love it.
But now,
I label everything.
It will be labeled till the day it dies.
Yes. So that dry run, then we set up the tablecloth, and then we set up Eddie. So again, remember the component here, and it was the first time we've ever done this ourselves, is I brought our Sony mirrorless camera, put it on a tripod, connected to Corey's computer where I use a software that comes with that Sony camera to turn the computer into the shutter.
Yeah.
Then I can click a button, take a photo from the computer, and then immediately port it over to Eddie. That is a lot of technology.
That is a lot of things that can go wrong.
The more tech that's involved, the more potential loss you have. So we did a dry run until we got it all to talk. So it all worked out. We accidentally made a mistake, and we only did one dry run of the technology
Unfortunately.
portion, and that comes to bite us in the butt later. However, the dry run was a solid yes. To see what it all looked like set up.
We thought it looked good in the dry run. We took a picture of me, printed it. I said, that looks great.
Mm-hmm. And we used a tray. Which tray did you use? Something we got off.
I can't remember the name, but I'll find it if someone cares.
So we did the dry run. So we taped off the lengths for that step and repeat the poles, because remember, they all collapse again for easy carrying, and then they extend back up. They're hollow aluminum, which made them very lightweight. Bites you in the butt when you're outside, but was great for transporting and throwing them into the car. We tested each portion of technology, so that was ready to go. I ended up having to switch out the lens for the Sony because, again, the restriction of 6 feet is that a lens too wide and I'm getting the edges of the step and repeat, a lens too close and I'm getting people's noses, not their faces. And then we packed for the worst case scenario. Where are we going to be outside? Do we need? That the worst case scenario? So we got extension cords. Corey got some cable splitters. Again, all this comes into play when we realize we are outside. Anna, if you're listening, let us borrow the world's longest extension. I think it'll wrap around the building twice if we needed it to.
What's insane though was me and Anna were part of the vendor for the faux weddings, so we were there a day before. And the day before is actually when we got where we were going to be at for this vendor show. So me and Anna went outside, and that's when I were like, oh my goodness, we're outside. And we're like 25 feet away from the wall, from the outlet. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I would never have known to bring an extension cord because I had requested a power outlet.
Keep in mind, a lot of the vendors outside never needed extension cords. It's because we added this Eddie component. Right. So keep in mind, you'll see though, as we get into the execution of things, that Eddie did make all the difference. Was very glad we did it. However,
it's a gamble. Like if you were going to like an expo center to know where the power was coming from, if it was enough power.
Better managed places that are dedicated expo centers already have power supplied everywhere. And you pay a small fee and then you get the extension. Farmers markets, you're going to look more like we are, but you know you're going to be outside.
Yes.
Could you do this at a farmer's market? I'm going to say yes, because of the experience we had this week.
Yeah. How would you do the power, though?
You would say to the farmer's market, you would have to ask before you attend it. And that would dictate what you did. Again, the more information you have on the front of this, the more you can plan for it. There was no way to get information on the front end for us.
It's not.
And thus, we weren't planning for it. So that dry run was great. We did on Tuesday. We packed it all up, marked everything, and then Corey took some of the supplies. I took some of the supplies. We had it all ready to go.
Yeah.
And then when we got there, we were able to set that up much faster. I couldn't imagine if we hadn't done that dry run, how complicated it would have been to do that the day of. But again, like I said, if you start vendor events, you got to almost continue them to pay back for all these supplies. So eventually you're going to just have this set up. It's going to be
I'm sure some of you guys are like, I could do it myself.
Yeah. And we're like, well, when you put the right leg in and the right leg out, twist them together. Okay. So then fortunately, Corey, again, to kind of paint this, is 2 faux receptions. But not all the vendors were there for that first setup. A lot of them could just drop off stuff and leave, but Corrie needed to be there. So she knew the layout of this kind of complex building. It was 2 levels, wrapping around, parking lots far away, cement staircases. if she hadn't gone the day before, it would have been, because it was kind of slightly mismanaged, it would have been very confusing. Nobody greeted us and told us where we were going to go.
Right.
Corey just said, I happen to know.
But I couldn't imagine if I went there for the first time that day, having to find that we had to meander down the stairs outside.
And I could see some of the other vendors. Like, you were flying blind.
Yeah, absolutely. So the only reason we knew what we were doing is because I had the opportunity to be there the day before.
I would have had the worst attitude if Corey hadn't been there the day before. And I would have been like, can somebody please tell us where we go?
I knew there was going to be. So I was like, I'll lead you right there. Come on, let me go.
The way that the venue was set up, it seems like you could have, I'm assuming this venue is completely built for weddings and corporate parties. Yeah. It seemed like the tent outside was one of those permanent tents.
A fixture, yeah.
Fixture. However, a single person door to get out to it. I mean, maybe it was a double door.
It was a double door, but one didn't open all the way. Me and Anna snagged
Which
it
is the international sign of don't go outside to me if I'm ever somewhere and I see a single door going out. So it did limit the amount of traffic we saw. That said, the dry run and the fact that technically Corey going the day before was a part of that dry run really did help. Okay. Now, Saturday is the day of the execution. We're not going to talk about the Friday thing because that was more of a photo session.
I was just going to say on Friday, I knew this was kind of.
Corey, give me a text. And you're going to hate this, you're going to hate me, but we'll get to it tomorrow.
I had to prep it.
I said, Corey knows whatever this hell we're about to walk into. Okay, the execution. Now, the event attendance was. Corey said not to lambast him. It was abysmal.
The people who came to most people we had at the booth were vendors.
Right. It ended up becoming a vendor to vendor expo because of the fact of the lack of attendance, the lack of promotion. Yeah. It was really poorly marketed. Again, I knew I had looked them up 2 weeks when we started and I started buying the stuff. I knew that this wasn't going to be, it was going to be rough. I didn't expect it to be that rough. Corey and I were able to take the L because we're like, at the end of the day, we're going to we did this to talk about on the podcast. For the other vendors, I truly felt bad. For the vendors that spent a ton of money, I felt the worst.
I know.
Probably within actual attendees, actually people walking through that door, there were 7 groups. So if we talk about an entity as one lead.
Were we standing there?
The vendor event started at 11:30. You had to be done set up. 12 it started, 3:30 it ended.
Yeah. So that was for 7 groups to pass through for that amount of hours.
And why I'm saying groups is because a couple is 2 people but they are one group. And that's the only conversion you get is one. So, I mean, if we talk about conversions, if we say a solid conversion is 20%. 20% of 7 is next to nothing.
Oh, I won't get a sale from that.
There'll be no sales from this. So, and we're going to talk about the pivot, and we're going to talk about the takeaways. But the execution is the things we did right is I liked that we had that really lightweight stuff. In hindsight, an actual display would have been more up my alley. That would have been an intensive cost investment, and it would have created a lot of weight.
Yes.
And I always got to think when you're doing these vendor expos, there's a lot of traveling, there's a lot of carrying, a lot of sweating.
We got lucky. The wind kept blowing this step and repeat down. Anna, thank goodness, she's a plant lady. She does florals. She had a whole bowl that she filled with water.
Sandbags would have been great. But again, with sandbags, you're adding weight. So it was nice that Anna donated to our windy needs. However, the things we did right, I like that the step and repeat for the quick turnaround that we needed. It added a little bit of cohesiveness.
The photos look really good, and you can see them. We're going to post them later.
The execution of Eddie, the step and repeat, did exactly what it does. Is a background display? No, it wasn't it for me.
Yeah,
and I'll take the L on that. But we wouldn't have had time to design a whole display, and I wasn't about to spend $2,000 for something. So again, we had a $2,000 to $3,000, or the step and repeat was $300.
Yeah.
Okay. So that one I think was a compromise. The Eddie, the things let's continue with the things we did right. I'm happy. That was it.
And we're
done. We dress the same. Corey and I, unfortunately, have a lot of experience in vendor expos and that personality that you have. Corey's husband did hang around. He thought it was very entertaining. He said, everyone that walks up to the booth, you're acting like they're the Tom Cruise.
The thing is, from car sales, you have to act like everyone's the first person of the day.
And they're the best person of the day.
And they got $1 million. They're going to buy cash.
Right. So having energy. And Corey and I, after we wrapped it up, we were like, this is exhausting. Granted, we did no physical work other than carrying a few things. Being excited that each person who walked up is the best person you've met today. It is exhausting.
This is their first Eddie print.
Right.
This is my bazillionth. Like,
it's good print. Right. So we were like, wow, if you guys want to, and Corrie and I kind of fall, granted, we're the duplicate of the same person. So we think very similarly, kind of pick up, like, I was like, okay, I'm going to have you step behind here.
And I was like, okay, that's my spiel. Now I got to do like, okay, this
Come
is
on in front. I want to show you how this works. It's so crazy.
Get your camera right.
Right, because we don't want any dead air. And I can say with honest sincerity, Corrie and I are over the top, and maybe that's too much.
Maybe.
However, it added to a very low energy day. It did create some energy. I could see that some of the other vendors are getting a little miffed, and I think they had every right to be.
At us?
No.
Oh.
In general.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So the energy
I felt bad
was
if they were
being sucked out of the room because it was like, wow, we're all fighting.
Not
over
even
this.
the room. We were outside. It was blowing right by us.
The energy was blowing with the step and repeat away. So the things we did right, I'm very happy with the tablecloth. I'm very happy I went with the double-sided, so we didn't have to say which is the front, which is the back. They had an option for a zippered side, which would have made for easier storage, but again, it would have made that directional. I'm oddly happy with the circle sign. I call it the FUMP sign. It comes out with such a robust energy. It almost took out the cat.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
This thing exploded into a circle. You know, one of those ones where compression is how you store it. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the table we used. I'm happy with the Eddie thing. I'm going to talk about it in a minute, but like, wow, it did save this.
Can I say what I'm not happy with myself?
Things we do differently. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I should have made a custom wedding set for our table.
I did not. So Corrie and I were like, well, let's get an A-core backers. Let's have it on the right side and kind of stage a big thing. But again, so last minute. It was like I couldn't find anything that didn't look weird.
Dumb.
So we didn't do that. In hindsight, I wish we had done something.
It would have made it so I could be like, actually, I mainly, here's the thing. Everyone thought we were selling this Eddie as a
rental, cool idea for your cocktail hour. Like it is like, we have a photo booth. This would have been, and people were all, if you've ever thought if there was a market for Eddie in live printing, absolutely yes.
So what was being lost was the fact that I do custom cookies because the Eddie was such a show that no one even thought to ask.
So I would say like, oh, this is actually the first time we've ever taken this machine out and it's fun. But what she does is those cookies over there.
I know, and it was they were so excited to get there. So I do wish I would have made a custom set of maybe my most ordered set of custom cookies. The problem is my cookies that I did make that were custom were on the table far away.
Very far away. Again, who was to know that this was a setup?
Me and Heather,
as many time I pointed to that table, zero people watched it.
Me and Heather commandeered a few of my cookies, brought them back to our table so I could be like, this is what I do a lot and we can do Eddie with that.
You'll see the photos I show you of our setup. You'll see that the one side with the bowl of QR code cookies looks a little barren for my taste. Again, we just had to do we just had to see what it looked like in execution. In reality, I do think that the A-core backers with the faux single place setup with her custom cookie in the middle of that would have said like, okay, this is actually what she's selling. This Eddie thing is more of a shtick for marketing.
But if you sold both, I would say that you need to have something to represent that.
I agree.
Or you can actually buy, I think it's called fractured, but you can buy glass pictures. So
I was thinking, what if a portfolio, like a page-turning portfolio,
absolutely.
like old school?
Something would have been better than nothing.
Yeah, great. This screamed Eddie rental.
It did.
It needed to have screamed custom, and here's an Eddie printed cookie.
We knew going into it, Eddie was going to be the star of the show, and that we were going to get people to... Here's the thing. How are you going to get people to your booth?
You're not. Right? Not when it's just a stagnant photo of cookies.
Hey, come and look at my custom cookies.
Please keep in mind, you may have a great idea and say, well, I'd sell the cookies. We weren't allowed to without a $400 additional cost. So there was no ability to sell, although I would think that would be a neat idea.
Right.
Giveaway. Okay, we're already in for the blanks. We've already know this isn't going to be a well-marketed event. Corrie didn't want to make the customs. That would have been nice, but
I was already in for a lot.
We were already in. I mean, and they also had us pull a insurance policy.
Yeah.
So, and that's fine, but the costs are just racking up.
The costs are racking up for the amount of people that didn't show.
Corrie, nobody showed.
Yeah, okay, for the people that
didn't show. The costs were tremendous for the turnaround. However, again, we're just doing it for the plot to tell you guys how it went, so we had a better attitude. The other vendors, I truly felt bad for, because that amount of setup, that amount of manpower for 7 units, 7 leads.
I know.
And again, please keep in mind, there was no lead capturing.
She ended up saying if you had registered, she sent you here's the thing. She sent you, they might not have stopped by your table, but she sent you their information. I can't imagine the 40 emails these.
Hello, you didn't come outside, but we wanted you to this whole time. Like, how are you going to approach that? So the things we would do differently, again, I would have maybe a display. Would I ever do this event again? That'd be a no. Would, if I was heavy into wedding expos, a display, and you can find these very tremendous. I dove into the shallow end of displays. You can get tremendously cool displays. But on the flip side, if you're doing a farmer's market, you're going to be different than a wedding venue. If you're doing a wedding venue, it's going to be different than, let's say, a commercial venue. But it was a great example of what I wouldn't do. I wish I had a longer cable for Eddie.
Yeah.
I needed a very specific cable for the camera to talk to Corey's computer. Eddie, though, had a bit of an issue, and I'm sure it's user error because we hadn't updated the machine. My bad. Corey's bad. We hadn't updated the machine. What happened was, typically Corey's like, well, when I print with Eddie, I just print the same design over and over again. What happened, we were taking these unique photos of each print, so every print is different.
Is a different new... You're opening a new thing
file and teeing it up. It's like Eddie was like, oh, I don't like this. So I had to secretly turn him on and off every time we took the photo. It was fine with the sleight of hand. Things I would have also done differently, having to change the size to 2.5. We should have just done the basic one so I didn't cut out a step.
Here's my issue with that. It would have been giant cookies, and for the amount of money I'm not getting from this,
I know.
I'm willing to type 2.5.
So keep in mind, I would take the photo. The photo would, because it was connected to the computer, just immediately port into Corey's computer. So there's no memory cards, which was great. And then I would open the bartender software. If you're familiar with Eddie, they have a license agreement with a software called Bartender. It's just a print software, setup software. And then I have to go through all the prompts for each of these. I don't know that there is a workaround for that. I think it has to go through Bartender because it tells Eddie what kind of cookie he's about to print on. Then you press print. Is between that pressing print that I had to turn the machine on and off again. It wasn't the end of the world. It just added an extra step. At the time when we got there, we didn't know that was going to be an issue. So it was created a little frustration for me and Corey. Imagine two twins arguing, trying to figure out where this hang up was to get it in print. We did get it going. We used Corey's husband as a model to see how many. So that helped out really well because it allowed people to see what Eddie was.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that our mistake actually became our biggest boon because of all these Nate cookies. They were like, that's that guy right there. That was cookie. But I wish in the dry run we would have gone through the entire actual process. We had just printed on the tray as a mock-up. Yeah. It would have been better if we had been like, let's, I just didn't think that was so wild. Things that went wrong. I think the management of the whole thing was very discombobulated.
Here's the issue. You can tell how an event is going to go by the way you're communicated before the event. They didn't say you need a certificate of insurance until 5 days before the event. Then 3 days before the event, they're like, oh, you need to add this onto your certificate of insurance, but we had already gotten it. Didn't say how many people were going to show. I want to say we did check the marketing of the people who sponsored.
Not the people who sponsored, the people who put it on.
But they were called sponsors, I guess. Oh. So there was 3 people who put it on, 3 groups. You cannot rest your pop-up sale on the shoulders of one
single post. And that was a big takeaway from a marketing standpoint. I would just say this was poorly marketed. If you listen to these podcasts, if you watch how we market the Vendy Blendy, it's pulling the audience over and over again with different types of content. It's a link. It's a Facebook group. It's a share. It's a video. It's a reel. Yeah. It's a page post. It's a group post. It's a newsletter. It's a podcast topic. And it's over the course of months and months. So the
reason why they were able to get this many vendors, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit of a smoke show. One of the people who put it on has a group of 36,000 women.
So what they said to the vendors is, we're marketing this to a group of 36,000 women. That is deliciousness in terms of a business.
Would that not sound
Everybody
amazing?
There was like, I talked to Anna and I talked to the lady that was next to us, and they were like, well, there'll be a lot of people. They're marketing to a group of 36,000. So we all heard the same pitch.
Yeah.
In reality, it was poorly marketed to a group of 36,000.
Here's the thing. We went through the post. There was one post every month for 6 months.
One post.
In this group of 36,000. The engagement, because they had put an external link, and we preach if you have an external link, Facebook doesn't like it. No one, there was maybe 2 likes, one being from the person who posted.
Okay, then the person who manages the group @s everyone. @everyone does not ping 36,000 people. It pings a various group of people. I think people who are well engaged in the group. it did not ping everybody, but every one of those posts had the @everyone tag, which truly did ping me, but one like.
On the page, they have a page. If you @ everyone on every single page post you do, there's no way to exhaust your audience faster.
Who cried out everyone.
Oh, yeah, because not everything is an addable offense. Like,
No.
I don't want to be added when your kid goes to school for the first day.
On the record, we've been running these Facebook groups for years. I've never once @ everyone.
Never even once.
If you're wondering what @ everyone is on a Facebook group or in a page, you can ping this highlight. You type the @ sign and you type the word everyone. You can do top fans. You can do highlights.
Followers,
ping a certain subset, but @ everyone technically is the most amount of people you can ping. The notification to the end user will look like Heather Miracle tagged you and others in this post.
If I ever use @ everyone in SEM, it's because Heather took the business and all the money, and I'm raising a GoFundMe to keep me afloat.
That's to me the only thing that would warrant that. Maybe in a use case of the people listening to this podcast, I'd @ everyone if I had a group of 40 and I'm giving away a class ticket.
But listen, we won't even @ everyone for the Vendy Blendy.
People are like, can you just @ everyone? I can't. I can't because it's not important enough for them. But what is important is consistency of different content types. So if we take this back to, if I made the Vendy Blendy by marketing, if I did www.vendyblendy.com, I made one post a month for the next 3 months, I can guarantee the event will be terrible.
It will flop.
Right.
You can't rest your event on one post. So if you're hosting your own pop-up, if you're at a farmer's market and there's not marketing.
There was no event listing. I want to see an event listing for everything. We do it for all of our cookie classes, have a corresponding event listing. If you use Eventbrite, it can connect that for you. I want to see a page post weekly, bi-weekly. I want to see reels. I want to see stories. I want to see external link posts. I want to see just photo posts. I want to see them in groups. I want to see them on pages.
Here's me and Anna were talking. We had tons of time to talk, obviously, between the seven groups. And it was like, it should be a lot more people. The vendors have such a big following. Here's the thing. The one thing I like, Heather, that she does for the Vendy Blendy is she creates graphics to help you market
the vendors.
On
the
your
Vendy's market as well. Because there's one thing to say, well, I have a group of 50,000. But that's not, the vendors have these huge groups as well.
But the thing is, we were never given any promotional material. I didn't know what to say because I didn't truly know what I was working with.
What time this started and ended.
True. There was a lot of miscommunication.
But imagine that if the event host had turned each of the vendors into promotional powerhouses as well.
Goodness.
We could have all fed into each other by bringing our own audiences. Because guess what? Corey's baked for people getting married. She's baking for people getting married. Guess what? Anna's done flowers for people who are related to people who are also getting married.
And we vendors were from all over the DMV, not just Loudoun County where this was taking place.
The vendors were solid. Like that was a solid group of people that can really put on a wedding.
Yeah.
And I thought that was impressive. But on the flip side, none of those vendors are coming back.
I would say that would be I would wonder who would be coming back.
Oh, I would like to ask them what experience they had that we did not also have. Again, Corey and I were outside. Thank goodness it was a nicer day. This week is supposed to be 105. I couldn't imagine that.
It was hot, but at least the tent had some shade to it.
Had some wind that we know. Okay, our takeaways. So the execution, that was what we did right. Things we do differently, and then things that were done wrong. Really, it fell on the side of the promotion. That was what was done really wrong.
What we ended up doing halfway through, me and Heather, we looked at each other the way twins do, raised our eyebrows, and we said, we're going to pivot, P-I-V-O-T. And I said, you know what?
FLOP, this event.
The vendors were strong vendors. And I said, each one of these people has an audience.
Lead gen source for cookies.
They are getting the brides and grooms coming to them. That's someone I want to be friends with.
So gotta compliment Corrie on this one. She grabs, again, content is king. So Corrie and I are like, even if this is a flop, nobody comes here. We're going to create some content. We're going to be able to post it to Corrie's page. We're going to get some runway out of this. But Corrie brings her Canon and she goes to each vendor and says, let me take a photo of what you're selling. So we had a guy, it was this neat vendor that has this little frozen cart.
Yeah.
And it was called the King of Pop. It was like a franchise he was mentioning, but it was popsicles that you would bring out in the middle of your reception.
The coolest different flavors.
And they were luxury. I had ginger, blackberry, lime. So she takes a picture of his pop, gets a little story, gets his business card. She goes to Anna. She's a florist. She gets a picture of Anna. And then Corey's building content. You'll never guess what she's going to do with this content. She's going to reach out to the vendors and said, so happy meeting Anna, the florist. If you guys have any interest. So now we can create content not only can we connect with these vendors, of which the vendors all kind of got in, we all kind of made peace with this is a vendor to vendor expo, just because it had to be. There was nobody else there. But now Corrie can create content of theirs. It helped that there was 2 people manning the booth again, because I was able to stand there and call her over. But she's networking with each of these vendor powerhouses that are leads for these weddings, because next to us was an event planner. Next to that was this like cool crush wall. I don't know.
Yeah, they made these wedding walls. That's what it was.
Wedding walls.
Yeah.
Then we had another event planner, the balloon artist. We had Anna the florist. We had the king of pop. A guy who played the violin the entire time. He was there for, your reception. Next to us, the guy that makes the, I don't know what you call it, buffet displays.
Yeah, you could rent the little tableware.
Right, the tableware guy. And then it was us. So all those people were talked to. And then vendors started coming outside from the inside because they were experiencing the same thing we were experiencing. So we had another florist. I think we had the caterers come out.
We had every vendor come down to get
every vendor. So that's who we printed cookies of. Then these vendors loved it. And Corrie said, that's one thing. We got their photo, put it on the cookie, but Corrie took a picture of them with their cookie. Again, content generation. You can turn anything around. Or we could have had the worst attitude and just bickered and complained the whole time. Don't worry, I got that in at lunch.
We did.
But Corrie was able to connect with the vendors. She got a ton of business cards, which I just gave her this morning.
And I'm going to send them an email from my business email with all that information in my email signature
Photos
that we talked
of
about.
Them. Corrie created their content because a lot of these vendors were manning a booth by themselves. They didn't bring cameras.
Yeah.
Corrie created content for them. And again, who are they going to refer to when somebody says they want custom baked cookies?
I mean, if they didn't know anyone beforehand, you're going to at least throw my name out there.
Yeah, so I thought that was a really nice way to make the best of a rather unmarketed situation.
I thought it was also good. I could see a lot of people being like, I don't want to waste my cookies and print some vendors. These were for brides and grooms.
Understand that the vendors are probably going to be a stronger lead source than the bride.
At the end of the day, I said if we use all the cookies, that's absolutely the goal. So if a vendor came down, you go get your other friend vendor. I don't care. Let's print till these cookies are gone.
Anna, if you're listening, she came up to us and she said, wow, you guys had so many people at the booth. And I said, it's because we had a shtick, and that was Eddie. He was a spectacle. He got attention. Granted, everyone's like, are you renting him out? Like, oh, no, unfortunately, no. And that was our own takeaways, that it almost focused because he was such a spectacle. Nobody had seen this technology. But it created such a commotion. It brought people outside. So what ended up happening is, one of the models, a stunningly beautiful man.
Yeah.
He gets his photo print on a cookie and he's like, I'm not going to eat this. I love this. So he's walking around upstairs with a picture of himself on a cookie.
Like, where did you get that?
And he was sending everybody downstairs. So that worked out really well. Another takeaway, if promotion seems spotty, understand attendance will follow that. Never have I seen promotion be spotty and attendance be through the roof. One follows the other, chicken or the egg. If promotion is bad, attendance will be bad. If promotion is stellar, attendance will likely be stellar.
If this is like a first event like we did here, the communication can also be an example of what's going to follow after that.
If the communication to the vendors was discombobulated, just imagine what it was to the attendees. And I told Corrie, I cannot figure when this thing starts and stops as an attendee or how much it costs.
And we asked 3 different vendors and everyone had a different time.
Right. So so I say proceed cautiously on the first run of any event. If this is their first time doing it, use that to your bargaining power. Yeah. Say, hey, listen, this is your first run. I'm willing to take a chance, but I'm not going to pay X, Y, and Z, or I want a bigger booth, or use that because at the end of the day, they need you more than you need them.
I would
for
say
the first
you got
run.
A lot to bargain with. There's a lot that you can do to get more. So we had 2 vendors not even show up. So we had 25 feet that we could have put our stuff.
And I remember we're sandwiched into 6 because that's what I'm thinking. This is well managed.
Yeah, so we had tons of room and we could have, I know that if I found out the day before, like I need to be indoors, I could have gotten us indoors.
I think we could have because it's a first round. But you always are that hesitant. In hindsight, we had a lot more power than I realized we had. If promotion seems spotty, again, I understand attendance will follow. Overbake rather than underbake. Again, Corrie was only come with 25. We ended up printing about 40 cookies. Again, lots of vendors, but we still use that as a marketing tool. I would have found it embarrassing to have run out of these cookies right at the beginning. So overbake versus underbake. Again, with Eddie, you can always freeze. It's different when you're doing custom decorated. So farmers market people, if this is your first one, you're going to figure out what that sales looks like. And then you're going to try to get those numbers as closely aligned, what I bake versus what I sell.
If you're doing this, Eddie, for an event like a wedding, you would get the head count and then price accordingly.
Weddings are a lot more planned. I have 250 people invited. I have this many RSVP'd. They're a lot easier to plan. First run of an event, that was a wild card, and it turned out to be an absolute wild card. Communication is key. Communication from the host to the vendors is key. If you feel like that feels off, I would say maybe that wouldn't be the event for you, especially if it's a high buy-in. Mm-hmm. If you sign up for an event and communication is almost perfect, there's no question, I can guarantee that's the way they're promoting as well. And I would proceed full bore. Yeah. That would be a yes for me. And then again, pivot. Corrie and I could have spent the whole time having really bad attitudes. Loved it. But Corrie's like, hey, she looked at me and she's like, I'm going to go take photos. And I was like, absolutely. I saw she pivoted and saying, instead of saying, I'm trying to reach the 7 barely people, most of them were, I thought that a venue was probably really expensive. I think it'd be out of a lot of people's budgets. Some people already had their wedding completely scheduled and on the books. They're not looking for a cookie or, and then we had one lady was like, I want to rent this out, but I'm not going to pay the price. Like, hon, there's not even a price. We didn't even rent this out, and you're already like, not going to. So Corrie's like,
what was great, there was another florist there, and she's like, me and you are on the same time frame because we're not we're going to order cookies the same time you would order these flowers. Can't get your information.
So again, she turned the vendor, and it became, instead of how many people are stopping by the booth, it was how many vendor business cards can I get?
At the end of the day, if you're going to put any time towards something, any time or money, try to squeeze the most out. We could have had a bad attitude and the vendors could have seen that on our faces. I mean, who wants to see 2 twins scowling, you know? But you can turn it around and squeeze as much as, at the end of the day, those people, vendors, still have birthdays. They still are going to have their kids' weddings.
Everybody there could be a potential.
Absolutely.
Now on the flip side, and Corrie said, Heather, I know you love having a bad attitude about this because I didn't want to do this a month ago. But Corrie's like, I'm not going to. And she's like, we should mention this in the podcast. It was a bad experience. It was a poorly marketed event. It wasted a lot of people's time. But to turn around and say on my page, I'm never going back to this place because that's burning a bridge.
I want to say I've seen a lot of bakers, like they've attended a farmer's market that wasn't marketed well, not many people showed, and they've gone to their social media to lambast.
That's not what your social media is designed for. In fact, Corrie went to the post made in the group. Thanks for everybody who attended this by the host. And Corrie said, thank you so much again for having us. It was a great experience. That wasn't a lie, but it also wasn't, we are unhappy and I'm going to lambast you on my personal socials. That's not what our marketing pages are for. Like our business pages are not meant to be a hostile situation when we don't get our way.
That's not the point.
Our audience wants to know this baker is always happy. This baker is easy to work with. And then the host, this was their first run too. I got to give them a little credit that it was a conceptualized and set up event. It was very nice. It was the marketing and execution that faltered. But if we lambast them, we're not getting invited back again.
The one lady who reached out to me to be a part of this she was one of the ladies put on. She was a photographer. She still, at the end of the day, if the event was horrendous, she's still an opportunity for me. So I ended up getting her a Starbucks card. Thank you so much for inviting me. I just appreciate you supporting my small bakery.
And then when she posts about the event, you'll never guess which 2 twins.
Out of all the vendors, me and Heather ended up there.
And I think it was because we had a positive attitude despite, and that's a lot about business, is like, that was ridiculous. And we have every right to be like, what in the world? You know, we're out with the insurance policy and the supplies and then 2 people's time on a beautiful Saturday. We're out a couple grand.
Yeah.
We have nothing to show for it. However, that is not what this is about. This is about learning an event, understanding this, getting that venue was stunning. We were able to talk to the people who ran that building.
And I will say it was not for naught. Now a bunch of vendors have my information. I'm going to connect with more vendors in email. They all followed me on Instagram. I followed them all back.
Like, it was so interesting. The vendors were pulling up Corrie's Instagram, like, well, I have a lot of followers, and it changed how they spoke to you.
Yeah,
because they were like, I could get some leads from this as well. And what Corrie's going to do is I'm going to actually ask you, are you going to post about Anna the florist on your social media and say,
I actually did the day before and I did the day after.
Right. And that's that kind of content where you can gift if I was a follower of your page, I'd much rather the positive, hey, I met Anna, she does flowers, than, hey, I hated this venue.
Absolutely.
Please know that negative, dramatic stuff will get a ton of views. We all like watching train wrecks. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, it will not lead to conversions. It leads to a threatening aura that when this baker's unhappy, they will stop at nothing to drag you.
You don't understand how many people it can put off. Because you'll get likes because these people want to support you. They're probably your friends, family. They'll like your post.
You're not lying. You probably had a terrible experience.
Yeah. But you are turning off customers that are quiet ones. And I always say the quiet ones are the ones who support you.
you're turning off the hosts that don't want a lot of drama. And I would say, think twice before. We had every right to say that was ridiculous, and we took none of that right. Granted, we're allowed to say it on a podcast, I guess.
I mean, I still, at the end of the day, I said, wow, what information we have gathered for our brains.
Now I feel a lot more prepared for the next event. Now I know what I'd ask. Now I know that I have a little bit more bargaining power to say, I don't want to be outside. This, we do have a product that is not friendly with hot weather.
And just to think, if this had been a big show out and we were vendors for the first time, imagine we'd now be vendors for the next year or the next year after. So
do I think the host could probably turn that around? Yeah. I think they could make this a thing. It would be a new set of vendors showing up though.
Right.
But the host could make this an actual interesting event. That is the takeaway of this. So all in all, a great learning experience. A little bit more on the expensive side, mostly because a lot of the stuff we didn't have already. I got to test the theory of Eddie live printing in front of people. Yeah. Not as easy as I thought it'd be, but oh my goodness, the attraction it became. Yeah. We had a guy, apparently, like photo booths. The new photo booth is like a mirror, or a selfie mirror, and the camera's tucked behind the glass. He was like, I think we could connect your guys' Eddie with my mirror and even do something even cooler.
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah, that's pretty neat.
So neat. He thought it was so cool.
Capital One is headquartered out here, and maybe 2 months ago, they had asked us to do that, and we were like, well, we've never done it before. Now we could have this whole component.
I think we could.
We have the table, we have the step and repeat. We know it works. It does open up an entire line, and then you add that wedding or commercial event cost. I think we could pay for Eddie in 2 events.
Absolutely.
Right. Let's say it's $1,500. We provide everything, set up, break down the cookies. We have that shtick where we're the twins. You get the twins for the low cost. But I'm saying like Capital One, deep pockets, weddings, everyone knows what they're paying for.
Yeah, everyone wants something. I mean, people are looking for favors. Imagine the favor being the Eddie printed cookie. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Everyone didn't want to eat the cookie. They just want to save it because they love their face being on it. That was a big thing.
And, I think we could rethink that. A lot of people wanted a cellophane bag. We thought they were going to just eat the cookie. They wanted to keep the cookie. Yeah. I think there was some thoughts. Corrie said pre-folded boxes. I didn't realize people were going to like it so much. But they really did. So yeah, if you were ever wondering if you could do that with an Eddie, you could easily use a cell phone. I just used a nicer camera because I needed that piping into the computer. But wow, great content generator, great experience. Big takeaways on things I wouldn't do again. Pointing at me.
I just want to say, while we didn't love being outside, the outside gave a nice ambiance to the photos.
The step and repeat turned into like a white bounce board. Yeah. The beautiful sun. We were under the tent. It made people
look stunning. People look like models.
So what we're going to do, and Corrie and I had this great idea. She was like, take all the photos that we took with your nice camera that we ended up printing, marry them up, and I took those photos off your computer, by the way. Marry them up with them, because Corrie took a photo of somebody holding their cookie, and I'm going to marry those 2 photos together and post a roll-up.
I wish I started. I didn't get that in my brain until like halfway through.
Now I know.
So taking a picture of someone holding their Eddie cookie is great for marketing this whole shtick.
Yes. And it creates a lot of content for us that we can in turn put on Corrie's website if we wanted to rent out ourselves with Eddie as this cocktail hour type icebreaker. If I had a wedding, I would love some you get a comedian.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's liven this up. At the end of the day, weddings are groups of strangers. Yeah. And I always find that
and they're
peculiar.
Like, what do we do?
Are you with the bride or groom? And then you can have this kind of fun thing where you get your photo, and it allowed people to really connect with each other. Corrie had a great idea. We ended up not doing it, to bring props, mostly because I thought we were truly restricted to the 6x6. Had we known that this could have been a little bit more elbow room.
Or if you're doing this at a wedding event, you could do team bride, team groom, funny. A big ring.
Really truly turn it into a photo. Yeah, absolutely. Experience. So that takes us through that. Hindsight's always 2020.
2020.
It's flying blind going in there though. I'd say it was a great experience, although my attitude was terrible at best. Okay, how was that?
My husband was a peach, though.
He was a peach. I made him come to that.
But he stood there and looked at me and had like we were a proud parent. Like he was a proud dad.
Definitely
on the first day of school.
We got a new vendor sign up. I've never even heard of it.
Nice.
I actually want to see what they do. In fact, can you tell us about the Cookie College?
The Cookie College, if you're wondering, is a membership that has over 90 courses in it. If you're looking to up your business coming to the end of this year and you really want to get it like locked and loaded, ready to go, we go over email signatures. And that's what I'm going to use to send these pictures back to these vendors. They're going to have my information in my email signature. I'm going to go look super professional because my email is actually tied to a domain. So instead of Corrie@gmail.com, it's going to be hello@mixingbowlcookiecompany.com. So it's going to be super professional looking. And that's what we want. When we're saying like cottage bakeries, you know, people are like, oh, it's just people just baking right out of their home. That's crazy. But what we can do is actually put out to them something that's super professional. One of the biggest courses in the Cookie College, and one of my favorites because I did it, is the photography course. If we are going to online marketing, the biggest thing that we need to focus on is our photos. People eat with their eyes, you know, so what they want to see is professional looking photos of what you sell, what you bake. That's how you get them to stop the scroll. So a big course in the college is the photography course. Then there's things like setting up forms. You know, Google Form is free. Jotform is paid. I actually still use a Jotform. I love it. So I actually have a website on Shopify, but tied to it is a Jotform. In that Jotform, when people go to submit something, they know my pricing. They know where I'm located. I actually get all their information. If you remember, Facebook went down for a while, and what it did was people were like, I have no way to reach my customers. I was talking to a messenger. Facebook's been down for 8 hours. I can't reach them. My Jotform collects their email, it collects their phone number, and it collects their name. It collects the information I need. So if my social media was to go down, it doesn't affect me reaching out to these customers for pickup, for payment, and things like that. But in the Cookie College, it is a monthly membership. It's how much a month? $76 a month. And what you get is all these courses, plus you get another membership. Actually, take them out. You get all the memberships we have.
Okay, speaking of Cookie Class kits, the next class will be Build Your Own Skeleton class.
Build Your Own Skelly.
When will you give that to me?
This week.
Great.
I know.
So
right?
we try to give with the Cookie Class Kits membership, it's $63, or get it included in that Cookie College membership, which is the best bang for your buck. We try to give you at least a month runtime. So the Halloween class will be dropping next week. So you have a month and a half. Technically for this one, 2 months.
And I'm going to say, and you're like, get runtime, drop a month. What you get in these Cookie Class kits.
If we haven't learned from this weekend, you need 2 months to actively promote them.
What you get in the Cookie Class kits is you get photos of the cookies actually decorated. People, as I said, buy with their eyes. So if you want to show them like, look, this is the set you're going to be decorating. It's staged. It's good photography. You get pictures of the undecorated cookies in the college. I will say that is something that Heather has made exclusive to them. You get a DIY kit photo in there.
Because what another great add-on. Again, that's the difference between the Cookie Class kits, which is everything you need to teach a cookie class. The Cookie College is take that and make a DIY kit. Do this, that, and the other.
But so in the Cookie Class kits, you get the theme, the designs. The cutters are through Sweet Pink Olive, but they're already ready to roll. You get the promo photos. You get reels you can use of me decorating the cookies.
You get, in terms of content to promote this, you get over, I would say, per class around 50 pieces of content. If we bring today's topic, and in terms of promotion and content types, we give you MP4s, which are videos. We give you JPEGs, which are photos. We give you story JPEGs. We give you completed set photos. We give you copy. You can send out a newsletter. Again, it all comes down to promotion. And that's what the Cookie Class gets. It's one thing to put on a class. The promotion is everything. And that's where the Cookie Class Kids membership shines bright like a diamond.
I will say that is worth it. How much is that a month?
That's $63, but if you get the Cookie College at $76, that's included in that.
If you're like, I'm not ready for the college, but I do want to teach classes, what's great if you sign up for the Cookie Class kits right now, you get everything from January till now for $63. I know, woe is us. We're losing money on this.
So one payment of $63 not only gets you the most upcoming class, which will drop next week, it gets you every class we've already dropped. But you may think then what? The people who already signed up in January, what did they get? They got the class immediately.
They got to market something that had never been marketed before.
So there's something to be said to get the class in January as you're teaching a class in February. And there's something to be said that the later you sign up each year, the more you get for your $63. You just get a little later. The Cookie College gets not only the 2024 classes, it gets the 2023 classes as well, which brings down each class cost to $3.80.
Which makes me cry because it takes me forever to do.
It takes so many people so much work to get those classes. classes.
Cookie College also gets this other membership. It's our stepping stone to the college. It's called the Better Business Basics
It's the
Bureau.
Baker's Business Basics. Corey likes to call it the Better Business Bureau. It's the 12 foundational steps you need when you're just getting started. So a lot of people, I'm just getting started. I've only baked for my family. How do I market this? Get on Facebook. I'll tell you how to do it. Get on Instagram. I'll tell you how to do it. Connect the two. I'll tell you how to do it. Get on Square. I'll tell you how to do it. Make a Google form so you can take orders. I'll tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
Set up a custom domain. I'll tell you how to do it. They all build on each other. It's 12 courses. My hope for you is you only take it for 1 month. At the end of that is a discount code to sign up for the college at our grandfathered rate, which only ever shows up on the Vendy Blendy for that day.
Yeah, but if you sign up for the Better Business Bureau, it's a great stepping stone into the Cookie College. You'll have the great foundation for it. Then we have our lowest membership fee, which is the transfer sheets, transfer club.
You skip the digital downloads.
Digi-downloads.
Also included in the Cookie College, it's a digital download each month. And then, like Corey said, the $2 transfer club is $2 to get transfers each month. If you are currently in the $2 transfer club, definitely check your August downloads. I uploaded them late last week. My promise is you get one a month, but I think I uploaded 6 or 7.
Nice. Listen, I want to, folks, when she over delivers, this is how your clients feel. When you over deliver and you do a set and you go crazy and you add all the details, but they paid the lower tier price, guess what they're going to expect next time? They're going to expect that. So Heather gives, but she's not required to give. So be grateful.
Yeah. So we have a ton of transfers. We have 171 different sheets, but some of those sheets actually have they're booklets, and there's 5. Every alphabet is actually 5 sheets in one. Nice. That takes just the 171 sheets. I'm not even counting the booklets. Yeah. Takes the cost per sheet down to 1 penny.
Are we good or bad at marketing?
I think we are terrible.
Horrendous.
But I think the transfers are a lot of fun. What were the ones I just added? I wanted them to be, I did a paw. That was from the cookie class kits, that paw.
Nice, yeah.
I did acorn, 3 more types of leaves. There's already leaves that we have in there. Another type of pumpkin, and then I did mushrooms.
Nice. Which is great for the fall.
That's what I was working on. If you want to learn more about the Cookie College and those membership options, go to thecookie.college.com. You can always ask in the group as well. Moving on to the Vendy Blendy. So, as of just now, we have 45 Vendies.
That was 43 yesterday.
2 people signed up.
Oh my goodness.
And I haven't even opened up the vendor sign up to completely new vendors. These are vendors who are getting the links from last year and re-signing up. Or I opened up, if you're in the Cookie College, I opened it up to them early as well. Little perk of being in there. But this is shaping up to be real fun.
Nice.
This is going to be the biggest Vendy we've ever had.
Are you kidding me?
We started. Corey made a start promotion in June. Typically, the first year I started promotion in November because it was the first one.
It was.
Then we said,
I want to say we started in October. I don't want to say we did the month of.
The first year, it was just an idea. We only had 40 vendors.
Only?
It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot more than I expected. The next year, this will be our 4th year. So the second year, we started promotion October 1.
Yeah.
Last year, we started September 1.
Yeah.
And this year, we started in June because we're forcing the vendors' hands. I love vendors. Vendors are superstars.
They're so nice.
But I said, vendors, listen, we got to make this unique. We got to make this a one day, oh my goodness, how could I miss this event?
Yeah.
And the way we're going to do that is by making everybody do 25% off or more. Or more wasn't required. The 25% off was last year. The first 3 years, the minimum was 20% off.
And you might say, twins, don't do that. They're small businesses. We lowered the sign-up fee. So
also, don't use the discount code and pay full price, and you can pay whatever you want.
But so now, if you go to the Vendy Blendy this year, you're getting 25% off or more. Here's the thing: you have to go penned in the group. We're not adding everybody, as you know. You have to search Vendy Blendy by Sugar Cookie Marketing. There's a group. You're going to penned there till November 29th. The day after Thanksgiving.
Corey and I will stay. We never stay up. We stay up this day. It's just a couple. We're not even in the same room. We just send some messages.
I'm in my bedroom, lights off.
I'm posting. I love leading up to that. It's Thanksgiving.
I know.
Thanksgiving night.
We're like, we got to eat
memes
because we need to feed ourselves for the night.
Corey and I are like texting meme ideas, posting memes. I do a meme countdown. And then at midnight, we let everybody. You'll find pinned at the top this document that I stare at, all the discount codes, all the links, all the percentages. You could just take that and leave and go to bed. That's all you need. You're going to guarantee 25% off for 24 hours. After that, I tell the vendors, turn it off.
Yeah.
Don't even force their hand.
If here's the thing, if you don't get into the group and buy right away and they run out, we do not require any vendor to honor anything after the 24 hours.
The only rule I have for the vendors is 25% off. It doesn't count for wholesale stuff. I don't want to get involved in their wholesale. Right. We found last year if we forced it on their wholesale stuff, they wouldn't sign up because they're like, I would be spending money for people to buy. So I don't require people to discount their wholesale stuff, but otherwise the entire shop must be discounted. And I thought we weren't going to have anyone come back this year.
I was very worried. That's why I said we got to say it in the midsummer in case we have to do some marketing.
So many people have come back. And I'm like, this is going to be a wild day. Now, on top of that, each vendor pays a fee. We've lowered the fee for last year's vendors because I'm forcing their hand to 25% off. For new vendors, that fee will go back up to what it was last year. All of that money goes into door prizes. Yeah. So we're not keeping it. Corrie and I aren't rolling in the dough, running to the Coach store. It all goes into door prizes. Depending on how many people, how many vendors sign up dictates a door prize.
But we've given away Eddies. We've given away bamboo printers.
The best bamboo printers. And then on top of that, the vendors themselves can give away door prizes. The requirement is you do not have to spend any money to win a door prize. In fact, you cannot spend money to win a door prize. You just have to participate in whatever the vendor posts, and I'll have a schedule, and it'll be a vibe. This day is so wild. Corrie and I and my little sister meet up at the mall and just talk it over that day.
We're like monitoring. Sorry, I can't. I got to do this. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. You don't want to enter for a door prize from these vendors and then ghost the group. The group closes down.
And deletes everything. Yeah, there's no access.
You won't be able to know if you never check back in.
People beg us, please, can we make this one more day? Nope. It is one day.
At what time on November 29th do they have to choose a winner?
10 p.m.
So 10 Eastern. p.m. is when you kind of want to tune back in, see if you got added in any way.
Bless the attendees. Someone's always got my back and makes a list. Yeah. But I made a list last year, so I'll make the list this year. But by 10 p.m., and then I tell the vendors they only have to honor that door prize within a week. If you don't claim it and you're a winner, they do not have to give it to you because we got to respect their time as well. It is a superstar. Everyone's like high on life. You're saving money in your
crazy.
shop.
People are just like the comment section. Because the only people who can actually make posts in the group are the vendors.
They can each make 3 to 5 posts. And it's very dictated off. It's very, very managed.
Yeah. And if you love a vendor, it's a great way to support them is commenting on their post, liking it, engaging with it.
They're allowed to make 2 image posts. Then they're allowed to go live or post a video. I encourage a live because it reaches more people, but only the Parnells take me up on that, who they signed up yesterday. And then they can make their door prize announcement post. When they post that is up to them. I give them guides, I give them recommendations, but how they do that. And then by 10 p.m., every door prize must be announced. The group shuts down by midnight that night. Little Easter egg for you guys. Little Easter egg for you guys.
Hold on. Vendors hearing this. Remember how we said how well-oiled a machine the communication is dictate how many sales you're going to make? Heather is a well-oiled machine.
Oh, I have this already scripted out.
Yeah. She'll let the vendors in. She'll do best practice videos.
I go live with them a week before and go through all. There's no question left unanswered.
You're not signing up and then being like, what do I do next?
And don't worry, we'll pummel you guys who are listening to this with all the vendors. I make them all tell me their best 3 sellers. I know a couple years, every year we get a little better. A couple years ago, we didn't know who did shipping where, got that done, minimum shipping amounts, where they're willing to ship to. I got all that. So you'll have that in your list come that day. But I'm just going to read through the vendors right now. Again, we have 45. This is shaping up. I will have to put a cap on the vendors. So that will be fun. So how sweet is that? She's from Canada. She signed up 2 seconds ago.
Oh, what did she know?
Thank you for signing up, Sherry. She sells baking supplies and cookie cutters.
Oh, nice. We got a lot of Canadian shops this year.
I was thinking that. Unfortunately, the sprinkle shop from Australia had shut down.
I know. But I ordered from her last year. It was great.
It would be, I know. That was unfortunate. I was so sad that the ping back came back to me. Sugar Dash Co. That's the Parnells. They do it every year. They're crazy. Equinox Pastry Supply, Bakers, Cutters, and Prints, The Sweetest Tears, Carentology, Cute Cookie Kits, Rose's Cookie Shop, Tasty Tin, The Sugar Cookie Dealer, The Pink Piggy, My Two Cookies, Scribes by Shirls, The Dessert Depot, The Cookiery, Sam and June's Bake Shop, Mad Batter, Cookie Co., My Dope, Sugarloaf Mountain Designs, JoJo's Specialty Shop, Sweet Pink Olive, Chua Cookie, Busy Baker's Whipsy, Dare to Bake, Cookie or Prince, Brighton Cutters, Minted Prince, Lolly Bee Custom Cutters, The Bougie Baker Boutique, Sweeties, Tasty Treats and Scribes, Sunshine Day Biz, Miss Cookie Packaging, Sweet Bite App, A Core Backers, Cookie Cutters by Nori, Mixer Skirt, Cup of Cookies, Love and flour, baking supplies, One Smart Cookie and Crafts, More Decor, The Domestic Cookie, Bobby's Cutters, Blue Honey Cutter Co., and you'll never guess, the Cookie College. So you can see that everything is required to be directly related to baking supplies, baking classes, baking cutters, baking things like that. It has to be directly related, and it has to be 25% off or more. And then a lot of people have shown up and shown out with over 25%.
Yeah. I cannot wait. I love it every year. I spend as much money as everyone else does.
Yeah, it is. I mean, how can you not? 25% off, door prizes. Then here's
I want to say,
egg.
oh, what's your Easter egg? I keep
cutting.
Hold on.
It's my Easter egg.
I'm actually getting packages in. Shops can send me stuff to feature. So if you want to follow us on Instagram, it's sugarcookiemarketing_, but you can get a taste test, a little teaser of what's coming at you on the vendor buy.
Yeah, you got scribes in the mail. I got asked that today.
Easter egg?
If you attend the Vendy Blendy.
Wait. I just kidding.
Stay up late.
Listen.
That's my Easter egg. Stay up.
I'm never there.
Late. Corey's never there. Corey goes to bed. I get a little stir crazy.
little crazy.
Maybe the rules are a little suggestions. I think
other vendors also get a little crazy.
Crazy. You'll never know what happens the late night hours of the Vendy Blendy. And then by the time you wake up, you early to bed people, you never know what you missed. It's all gone. It's so wild. Like, I know. Okay, as I'm starting to shut down the group, I have some like closing cover photos, and I changed the group's name to Null or whatever. And people are like, "No, it's Andy. Please."
I remember like you had one post left. And like, "God, I didn't use this last post."
Then I turn off comments. It's a little fun day. So that will be November 29th. Moving on to our. Can you believe that in 2 weeks it's Cookie Con?
No.
So Heather Campbell Brookshire and Kim Mim Sims. Kim to Mim Sims. I just call her Kim Mim Sims. Yeah. She had opened up a brick and mortar 2 weeks ago.
She's insane.
Yeah. And then they're flying. Well, they live in Texas. I'm not sure they're flying or driving. Texas is massive to me. They're going to Cookie Con on September, I think it was 17th. It might be 19th. Hold on. She's going to get mad at me if I don't say that right. Heather Campbell Brookshire, hold on. She's sponsoring this. Now, she's a Disney trip planner as well. And if you want to see a well-oiled machine, this is September 17th.
She is a Disney adult through and through. She goes to Disney often. She can schedule you for any Disney park that you want to go to, plus cruises. And the best part, you don't pay her a cent. You don't pay her anything. She works for free. Just kidding. Disney will pay her, but you can have her services to plan everything. She knows where to go. She knows the best places to.
She is truly. Well, I'm friends with her on Facebook, and she's at Disney. I told her, in my head, you live in Orlando, and you happen to visit a house in Texas sometimes for some reason. Here's a confusing thing. It's 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, but I have 5 p.m. Eastern as the event. I should change it to 6 because that would be 5 Central.
I don't know. You're speaking now.
I hate differently.
What day is it though?
It is on September 17th. It's the day Cookie Con starts. I know some people will be in classes during that time, but I saw Heather and Kim make a post. They said, stop by anyway. It's Santorini. Hold on. It's here. It's at a restaurant that's in the convention center. So you don't even have to leave. But they said stop by anyways. If they can stay a little longer, they will. It's a great place to find a friend. And then we'll be footing the bill for some of that. So might as well drink and eat on our tab.
The best part of Cookie Con is being able to connect with these people you've seen online for all this time.
Italian kitchens.
You can connect with people you've seen online for so long, but you're able to get a buddy. A lot of times you have the classes and people who sign up for the classes who you sit with, but where do you go eat with?
I always see people say, well, I went to Cookie Con and I thought bakers would be more friendly. You got to understand you're all walking into a group and nobody knows each other. And if they do know each other, it's because they've been before. So the first timers, I feel for you. It was always hard for me to go anywhere for the first time.
Yeah.
This SEM happy hour has to abide by SEM vibes.
Yes.
So it has to be a friendly, welcoming thing. Cookie Con is what you make of it. If you're going to be a wallflower, you're going to have a wallflower experience. But a great icebreaker is coming. Always, you can find Heather and Kim. They could talk to a brick wall and make it have a good time. Find them, tell them, hey, I would love you to introduce me to some people. They're going to be those personality types that will always have a blast. Ask her about her favorite Disney ride.
Yeah.
And then
For sure. But that's coming up. Please go attend. If you're not even in the SEM groups, if you don't like me and Heather, we won't be there. So you can go have a great time.
Find the other Heather and enjoy her. If you're not attending Cookie Con with a paid ticket, you can still attend that happy hour if you live somewhere around Texas and just want to put faces to names. We've been to quite a few of them ourselves, and they're always a blast.
I took some classes, loved it. Loved it.
Hey, we've been to how many? We've been to 3 cookie cons. That's crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't even bake.
We're not noobs
What a
anymore.
blast. Now, moving on to our sponsors. I know we talked about Eddie a lot. They are a sponsor. They did not pay us to go take Eddie to a wedding venue. However, what a great test.
I know.
So the Eddie printer is $3,000. That's not chump change at all. And imagine you're like, I'm going to buy one and get into this.
Yeah.
I think you could easily make that money back with what I experienced this weekend. Easily. Those people were like, I would love to have this at my wedding. The vendors were like, I would love to connect with you at a wedding, just because of the amount of people that came by to see this spectacle. It is quite a spectacle.
Oh yeah. I honestly, if you wanted to do that and make that your shtick, and that's your weekend money and you forego classes,
not a bad bet. I mean, if it would be on par of a cookie class level of making money.
Yes.
And I think you could easily make that money back. Eddie Printers Users Group on Facebook. I should actually post there kind of a breakdown of this.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah. Don't be mean to me. It's less managed. Every time I pop up there, I'm like, oh, I'm always mean to my feelings and I can't lock the thread. But go over there and learn about this printer. It is pretty fantastic.
Pretty darn cool.
I said to Corrie, if we can get through this weekend, I'll have my firm answer on whether Eddie can be used at an event like this. And my big takeaway is yes.
Yeah.
So Eddie Printers User Group on Facebook, it's a machine by Primera. You can go to primera.com and order the Eddie. They have a refurbish program. I'm a refurbed bay through and through. You can save almost $1,000 on a refurbished Eddie. We'll see. Everyone's asking what the door prizes are for the Vendy Blending. We've done Eddie in the past. I'll have to figure out.
We'll see. Next up is Royal Batch. It's a meringue powder I use. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. I use it exclusively. It is by Bakety Bake. You can get a 5-pound bag. You can get a 1-pound bag. You can get tester bags if you just want to try it out. It is silky smooth when you make it up. It whips up bright white, nice and fluffy. It almost feels like you're putting in twice as much powdered sugar by how fluffy it gets, which is awesome. It has food coloring in it, so white food coloring, bright white. It has vanilla extract in it. Tastes delicious. You don't have to add anything to it. You can if you want to. It also has corn syrup in it to give it a softer bite. It is the bee's knees. I love it. I'll never change from it. I don't think anyone's going to come out with something better.
Did you use it for that event?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, if I make anything like custom, that's always that. I can't trust anything else.
For the Eddie printed things?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Oh, you can use code TWINS to get 10% off, and I think it works for the little tester bags too.
Very, very nice. I would love to get her to be a vendor.
I know.
Should be at CookieCon.
If you go to CookieCon, you see her.
The vendor hall, I think.
Go to the vendor hall.
And tell her, wow, if you'd only just be in the Vendy Blendy. Have you heard about the Vendy Blendy?
Yeah.
Vendy Blendy Blendy Vendy. Have you?
See, do you need the sign up form? I heard you haven't. Did you go to spam?
I will not attend the Vendy Blendy unless you attend the Vendy Blendy.
I would
go find.
Listen. I'll stock up. if you go to the Vendy Blendy. I'll know that.
Okay. Moving on. I think we're wrapping things up. Oh, I'm sorry, I got a text.
Wrapping.
Skip that. One more.
Wrapping.
Also, if you guys would like to text in, it's 571-556-5644. It makes the podcast more interesting. Here is our text of the week. Hello, Jenna here. Our family is moving across the country next summer. My husband is wrapping up his decade of that was all caps. Like this lady's like survived this postgraduate studies and degrees in Connecticut. And I'm so excited that we'll soon be settling in our new home state of Colorado. Here's my question. Should I mass delete pretty much everyone in my in Connecticut on my MailChimp audience? Is there any benefit to keeping an old audience? Thanks. P.S. We were just in Maryland, about an hour south of D.C., scooping up shark teeth in the Potomac River at Pierce State Park. It was really incredible, and it ain't far from Woodbridge. If you haven't been there yet, grab your spaghetti strainer and go get some shark teeth. That is hilarious, and we should do that. Okay, so this is what she's saying. Jenna's like, I'm in Connecticut. I'm moving to Colorado. I have a Connecticut audience. I need a Colorado audience. What to do?
Right.
Should I remove the Connecticut audience? Here is what I would do. I would, with that Connecticut audience, I would find a baker that you like, that you're willing to refer them to, and I would send a final email letting that audience know that you're leaving the area, you miss them, you love them. Here's the baker to forward their requests to,
right.
And then I would delete them.
I would. At the end of the day, you're
never
so
gonna
far
sell them
apart. And she said she can't ship, right?
Well, would you want to ship that far?
I know some people are diehards, right?
Corey and I are not shippy people. She's a sharky people, but she's not a.
Yeah.
If you're not able to ship or don't want to because of the wild risk with shipping,
and that's a distance,
I allow you. I free you from that audience. It is wild to build up an audience and then have to delete them, but that is the side cost of those big moves.
But it'll also help you. You're going to have less unsubscribes. I can't order from you, so
you're going to, and because of the way these newsletter senders charge you based off of how many people you have in your list, you're going to essentially save yourself some money by deleting that audience.
It's okay to let it go. Let it go.
Within MailChimp, if you have commitment phobia like I do, you can create a new list. You can label your old list Connecticut, your new list Colorado, and then you can let yourself have some runway, some time once you've shifted over. I can guarantee you will not be selling to that Connecticut audience, and the odds of Connecticutans moving to become Coloradians is very low. So deleting that, you are allowed to. It will free up space. It will clean up your mail list. You'll still have those people from your audience on your page. Again, Corey and I are fans of engagers. If they're heavy engagers, but they're still from Connecticut, stick around. We always get that question, should you ban people? I wouldn't ban Connecticut people from my Colorado page. When I make the move, I'm talking social media.
I wonder, can you force them to unfollow you?
I think you have to ban them.
You don't think they've changed that?
At the new page experience? No, I don't think you can force somebody to unfollow you. Only they can choose that.
Let me just look real quick.
I'm 99% sure.
No, block.
Right. So would you block somebody?
I don't know. I've never made that far.
I haven't either.
People that I used to market to still buy from me.
Here's the thing. Corey gets a lot of you guys following her on her cookie page, and she's not blocking you. She wants you to engage.
You guys are nice. You guys like to.
They're commenting. They always laugh at your
very
jokes.
nice to me. I appreciate you.
Again, engagement to me is more important than location. However, for your mail list, engagement is not important to me at all. I would rather only send it to people within my target audience. Jenna, tell the husband congratulations on graduating.
Congrats.
And congrats on the move. That is my answer for that one. If you want to text in, it's 571-556-5644. There's no question too wrong. In fact, if you wondered what Corey used in one of her videos, probably texting in will force her to answer you.
Bless you. Yeah, because sometimes I post and I have to ghost because life is happening.
Do not ghost and post.
Listen, send a text and I'll answer you.
Send it 571-556-5644. You can even say, would it be really nice if this vendor signed up for the Vendy Blendy? And then
we'll read it
at them, and then we'll be like, let's just use peer pressure to get them to sign up. You have a twin twist?
Do I have a twin twist? Do you have one?
No,
I want to say my review for the Mom Pop cookie thing. It's called Mom Pop Printed Cookies.
Oh, yeah.
They come in 3 different levels. They're all hand dipped.
Quality.
Levels of quality. And the way that they describe them is like, you'll have this percentage of ones that look perfect, and a few of them will have like not perfect edges. So the ones I ordered were the premium, which was the perfect. I want to say, and don't quote me on it, it was $1.67 per one, and I ordered a pack of 20.
So how much was that pack? Let me go, Mom.
It's $1.67. But I think you can get them as low as $1.
So blank cookies, if you guys are wondering, these are cookies that are pre-dipped and baked, but they're white. And you can use them. They're intended for it. I guess you could really use them for whatever you wanted. Ready to print blank cookies. The size is 2.85 inches.
Which is a very good size.
Dip quality, regular, select, and premium. Premium dip are $1.09 per cookie. Regular quality is 79 cents per cookie. So you can order them in batches of 20. So let's do premium. For 20 cookies, it's $21. For 100.
And shipping.
Oh my goodness.
What was shipping for that? Does it say like flat rate?
I have to go through all the way.
Never mind.
You can order as many as 1,000
Yeah, I'm thinking big. So people are wondering, how do they taste? I will say you can taste the vanilla. I almost think that they use vanilla bean paste in there because I could see little dots of the vanilla bean paste in there. They do taste good. My husband loved them because they're dipped. They don't have a huge layer of icing, and he is not a super sweets guy. So he said, I really like that there's not so much sweetness to it because sometimes it's just overwhelming.
Vanilla extract, vanilla bean
paste.
You didn't say the word paste, you just said vanilla bean.
Okay, well then there's a vanilla bean in there.
Mm-hmm.
I will say it's a little bit drier. You wouldn't have to worry about bleeding because it's not such a moist dough, but it was still good. I would call them a coffee dipping cookie.
Here's what I'm going to say. People are like, but you're selling something you didn't bake and you're using flour you didn't grind. So there's always, we can always walk it all the way back to where the level of health insurance guy keeps calling me. Dude, listen, I'm screening your call. International segment, I'm not going to answer. But follow-up is key.
Follow-up is key.
Okay. So people are like, but you didn't bake those. This is meant for large volume corporate Eddie printed orders. And yes, there is the caveat of I didn't bake these. Buy one, taste it, see if you like it, see if it works. It really worked for us during this week. I'll say that Corrie's have the softer bite, but again, we have the more risk of bleeding. I could see when people were wearing black shirts and it printed out, like, oh my goodness, that would smear.
Yeah.
If they touched it on these mom pop cookies. I was like, that's not going to smear because we did Nate on it. And I was like, that dried.
We got the premium. They looked very good. I would not feel like, oh my goodness, I couldn't present this. It looks like it was dipped by a child. It actually looked really, really good. They came really nicely packaged.
You have no affiliation with these.
No affiliation, but I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
It was a nice fallback. It's so funny. Someone came and they're like, hey, I was here to see about your pre-dipped cookies. And we're like, actually, we don't do those. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, I know. I would like to take a picture of the packaging. I was like, okay.
All right.
This is weird.
And then I broke it down for her.
This is what the website says. Great for large volume corporate orders and when you want to maximize or minimize your expenses and maximize your joy of printing. So you could do 1,000 of their regular dipped cookies, and that's going to be $7.90. I mean, that's
how much?
$790.
I couldn't imagine icing 1,000 cookies myself.
No.
So if you priced correctly,
he said, if you've ever dipped 1,000 cookies, you too will experience some cookies with minor to moderate imperfections, such as small bubbles, edge chips, and thinning or thickening of the icing in the edge and overflows. And this is their regular. Their premium one said there is no medium or small bubbles. Good, even edge, even icing, and natural beauty is selected. Only very minor imperfections are approved. That's very interesting.
It's such a cool business model. So I actually found them. So I'm going to post about them, and I ordered, and it worked out just perfectly for us. So that's my free shout out.
You can have them print them for you.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, you can go. They have blank cookies, and then design your cookie, and then you can upload your image, and you just do a quick mock-up, and it says.
They said, oh, forget you bakers. We're going straight to the source.
Yeah. I mean, talk about if you don't have an Eddie.
I know.
I wonder how much that costs us. So let's do they have 1,000?
1,000 printed?
Okay, so if we do 83 dozen, which is 996 cookies, it's of them already printed, it's $1,000. It's $1,900. So not cheap, but if you wanted to cut out buying your own Eddie. You're very close to the Eddie price. So yeah, a refurbed Eddie, you're right there. That's an interesting, again, no affiliation at all. Do your own research.
Yeah. That's taste your own taste test.
I bought, I had this, did I ever talk about my box of candy?
I don't think so.
I had this like random thought. As an adult, you can buy whatever you want.
Yeah.
There's no rules.
Ain't no rules.
So I was just like, what if I found a candy store online and I shopped. So then I go to this, it was like online Candy Funhouse. Candy Funhouse is what it was. Yeah. And it was a fun house of candy. And I was like, and everything was super cheap.
Candy is so weird to say.
Candy. I love it.
We know how to say candy.
So I started, it was like 2 a.m. I shouldn't have been awake anyways. And I started just filling up my cart.
Were you choosing?
Oh, absolutely. I was like auditing. Like, is this worth? So then I had this genius idea. I would just order this box and it will be just a box of stuff I've never tried, stuff I've tried when I was little because they had retro candy. They had candy from the UK. They had American candy in flavors you've never heard. So I get the box and all my family's here and I'm like, you know what would be so fun? It was $100. It's ridiculous. Free shipping. But like candy that should have been $5 was only like $2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was very cost effective.
So your dollar went far.
My dollar went far. And I said, so of course, my family's all adults.
Yes.
And I said, we're going to do a candy auction. You can get a candy, but once you claim a candy, you can't claim another candy. I will not tell you the candy that's coming out of the box. If somebody wants to steal your candy, they can. But once a candy hasn't been claimed, it becomes a dead candy. Throughout this time, I may throw a candy back in the ring if you've already chosen candy. But everyone chose something, and we've been snacking on the box endlessly.
That's hilarious.
Found new candies I didn't like, candies I loved.
Obviously,
candies
Heather did this when I was not around. Because
I let Archer choose 5 candies.
You did.
And he was like, so funny. Like Corrie and I, Greedy little girls.
Greedy little
We were twins and we had to share everything. So it was like we were always trying to get one up on the other twin.
Ugh,
so when it was like
exhausting.
we would go to Cracker Barrel and my parents were like, I'm going to choose one candy. And just salivating, Pavlovian response. Corey and I would pick the worst candy that had the most quantity. Just so we could say to the other, like, I have more than you.
The candy that we would always get was like this little plop of candy
Sugar
on a piece of paper.
And it would always rip the paper back.
And you'd be eating paper.
Miserable candy, miserable choice. But it was more than the other kid. Like, I can't get a stack of one single Pez when you're coming back with 92 little candy stuck to paper. So Corey's kid comes over, Archer. He's the only kid. He does not know the reality of not only having multiple sisters, but a twin.
Or any brother. Like, he's just an only child.
So remember, we'd all been taste testing this candy, and a lot of the candy was open. So I said, Arch, you can pick 5 things from this candy box, because the box is such a spectacle, because candy wrappers are so bright. He comes out, and half of the things are open, tried. If I was his age, I would never touch an open candy.
I would be like, I'd get less.
He opened up Reese's Pieces, which I know I had been snacking on. There was hardly any left, and he was like, yeah, I just want to have whatever's left.
Boggles my brain.
Boggles.
If my parents said you can have a cookie, I would never. Even if I wasn't hungry, I would eat one because it was offered.
Also, we were raised in Christian, so if you take the bigger cookie, you're selfish, but you want the bigger cookie, but then you would not want the other person to have the bigger cookie. The conundrum.
But my son will be like, no, I'm good.
He would be like, I just want to bite. Like, what?
No, I'm just good.
Yeah, so you got 5 candies. Of the 5, 4 are open.
Insane. The kid's insane. I even said, hey, your Switch is kind of old. If you buy half, I'll buy the other half. He's like, no, I'm good.
What? Imagine if somebody had offered us that. So that was my candy fun house.
Also, my dad even said to Archer, I'll take you to Panera for a little cinnamon roll or a new pair of shoes.
We would have picked the new shoes because it was not a consumable.
And Archer said I would like a cinnamon roll.
I would die.
Cinnamon roll? A cinnamon roll.
And you can have shoes that would last a long time. But in my minimalist era, I'm trying to go more for the consumable and not for the lasting on a shelf of something I already have.
Well, you're not the parent buying the shoes.
No. Get cinnamon roll and get the shoes on.
All right, how long is this podcast? Ungodly?
Yeah, what is it?
Oh my God.